let me go ahead. Oh, I forgot to record. Can't do that. We're figuring this out as we go. Get that going. There we go. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Daryn Kagan. I'm the Good News Lady, and welcome to the Good News Lady Show. This is the Halloween edition, if you can't tell. And if you couldn't tell, what do you see this? Oh, Halloween. This is our big budget. We got the pumpkin going. That's the full extent of my Halloween budget for the Good News Lady Show. But I have somebody I really, really want you to meet, and fabulous story. Dr. Gideon is joining us. She is animal surgeon by day, master pumpkin carver by passion and by night. Dr. Gideon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Daryn.
Well, first, let's talk about your day job.
Okay.
Your day job, what do you do for the animals that we love so much?
Well, on a day-to-day, basically whatever they need or whatever their parents need. I do mostly surgery. I guess that's my thing. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
And you've been doing that a while? Was that
yes,
the same
a while. We won't get into how many decades I've been doing that, but yes, a while.
Very good. So whether that's like spay or neuter or something more serious for animals who are sick,
I do some of that. Yeah, I do a lot of more specific surgeries. Lots of tumors, lots of spleen removals, anything like that. But yeah, I'm kind of the mechanic.
And clearly, you're very good with a knife.
Okay, that's a way to put it. Sure.
You like sharp objects.
Yeah, I guess I do.
Okay, so how does that transfer to pumpkins, and how did you discover that? Have you been doing that since you were a kid? What's the thing with pumpkins?
Well, I guess the passion was always there, and I always loved Halloween. I mean, who doesn't? But it was probably, well, I say it a million years ago, but I guess it was probably about 25, 30 years ago. I was always trying to do something a little more creative. And then one of my big sisters, being big sisters, sent me a Halloween card trying to tease me. And it was a Hallmark shoebox card with a little Leonardo da Vinci as a child. And one of his friends was making fun of him and said, show off, because Da Vinci had carved a Mona Lisa on the pumpkin. So being the little sister, I said, well, I'll show her. And I carved the Mona Lisa on a pumpkin. And just did the mic drop, and I guess it just kind of took off from there. I just upped my game.
Well, speaking of a game, you have some of those pumpkin games with you. So if you can just tilt your camera and show us some of your masterpieces this year.
Yeah, I've got dozens and dozens, but I chose 5 just to kind of represent. Let me see if I can show you. Here we go.
Oh,
I don't know how.
Oh, Phantom of the Opera. I see that one.
So I did that, and there's a Da Vinci, the Vitruvian Man. And then I have Gustav Klimt, The Kiss. I like doing works of art. I think that's probably my favorite. I do a lot of fandom. And I try to do people of significance.
Those are incredible. So let's talk numbers. How many pumpkins do you do in a regular year, and how many have you done this year?
Well, that's changed from year to year. I was probably averaging in the last few years, 5 or 10 just because of time or whatever. But I noticed this year, I guess year after you practice, you just kind of get faster at it. So I think I did about 15 or 20 new ones this year. I give a few away. I do some businesses, logos, that sort of thing. Every year I do try to do some real pumpkins, because that's a completely different feel and you use a completely different set of tools. Last year, unfortunately, I don't know if it had anything to do with the pandemic, but the pumpkin crops were terrible. The ones that I got, because I always carve, if I do reels, they're going to be between about 150 and 200 pounds. They're massive. And they did not last a week without me carving them. So I didn't get to do any last year. So this year, hopefully I'll get to. And those I do a very different thing. They have a very different look.
Okay, wait, actually, so those ones that you showed, those aren't real pumpkins, those,
These ones that I just showed you,
yeah.
no, they're a composite, a foam type thing.
Oh, so you can take them
Yeah,
out every year.
yes.
Right.
Mhm.
But so
Yeah.
this year, how many, you have done some real pumpkins as well?
Not yet. I have
Okay.
two downstairs right now in my
Okay.
workshop, and today I will start carving them as soon as we finish. That's what my day is going to be.
And what's the design or can you tell us what's the
Well,
design?
I guess I will. I am
Okay.
going to attempt on the really large one that's probably about the size of my dining room table. I am going to attempt to do Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory. Yeah, the melting clocks, right? So we'll see how that goes. And I have one that's a little bit smaller. And probably my favorite fandom is How to Train Your Dragon. And I have a Hiccup and Toothless portrait that I'm going to try. Usually I
Incredible.
do more of the reels, but it was really hard getting the extra large ones this year. So I had to limit it to two.
So for those of us who aren't as talented with the knife or even just in art in general, what are some good pumpkin carving tips you can give us?
Wow. Well, be careful. That's my main thing. If you really want to get into it, there are tutorials online and there's websites that can encourage you. I have introduced some people into this art, I guess you would call it. And one of my students, who I called my Padawan, he has actually surpassed me. He has done some amazing things, and now he has a Padawan of his own. So yeah, spread the wealth. But if you really want to get into it, look online. There's some really good sites. A friend of mine has a site called Stonykins, so I'm going to give him a plug.
Mhm.
And he's got patterns to use for people that are getting started to all skill levels. But if you're getting started, there's some really good ones that are not going to be your typical jack-o'-lantern triangles and things or faces. And you know, if you feel like you have the roots for it, then it can just go from there. And next thing you know, you're making your own designs and freehanding them or copying a work of art.
So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, you're so generous. I found you on Nextdoor, in an Atlanta general Nextdoor, where you're not just doing your pumpkins, you're saying to neighbors and friends, come on by, come, like,
Yeah.
do you really do a number at your house?
Yeah. It started last year, I guess. Well, people always came to my house because it's a huge Halloween do. If the kids make it to the door, and half of them won't, they get a good size bag full of goodies. And we do treats like cupcakes or popcorn balls and alcohol for the grown-up trick-or-treaters. But last year, it was just so depressing with the COVID and people stuck in their houses. So I said, you know what? I'm going to have this display. It'll be socially distanced. I made sure and told people, if you come, wear masks, don't get near each other. And I was shocked at the number of people that came. I think a lot of people just needed someplace to go and something to do outside of their four walls. And this year, the reception has just been incredible. I've gotten lots of messages saying, I came last year. I'm really excited about this year, or I heard about it and I didn't come. And this year I am. So we'll see what the numbers are, but I'll have a whole lot more pumpkins. We're going to have it in a bigger area. It's going to be unidirectional and safe again. So anybody's welcome.
I mean, if there's one holiday that lends itself to wearing a mask, it would
Yeah,
be Halloween.
there you go. Absolutely.
There you go. And then what do you get out of the joy of sharing? I mean, you could just have your pumpkins to yourself, but when you share not just with friends, but also with strangers, it's so generous of you. It sounds like you might even get more in return.
I think just seeing the looks on their faces, a lot of people, one, have never seen that pumpkins can be something other than a jack-o'-lantern, Daryn. You know, it's that's all they see is, you know, oh, I'll just make the face. And if that sparks their interest to try something a little different, that's one thing. And the other thing I noticed was I was really surprised to see how many people have not been exposed to certain works of art or things in culture. And if they see an image like, you know, an art piece or a famous photograph, like I did the moon landing once, and anything like that, and it sparks their interest to go and see it or look it up or go to the museum or something. That's something else. And, if I can get one person to do any of those things, I mean, that's kind of amazing. It's like sharing something.
That absolutely, that's so super. So if people are in Atlanta, because people are watching this all over the place, but if they're in Atlanta and East Atlanta, where should they come by to see your pumpkins?
I'm, in Decatur or Avondale, and actually it's kind of unincorporated Scottdale, which is like a neighborhood community that's part of Decatur. But on Lantern View Lane, you cannot miss, there's going to be like some signs and you'll probably just see a crowd of people coming in, and there'll be an enter and an exit. So you can just, make your way around the back of the house and there it is.
Great. So wear a mask, and the more creative, the better.
Yeah, that's right. And there'll be refreshments and people to talk to you and people to scare your children.
Come, we will scare your children.
That's
How
right.
fabulous is that? You can pass up that invitation. That's just great. Dr. Eve Gideon, thank you so much for all that you do for our animals, that you do for our pumpkin, for our art, and really just in the way that you share and spread the joy and sharing your great talents.
Thanks, Daryn. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
I do.
Thank you. That's
Thank
Dr.
you.
Eve Gideon. She is a pumpkin lady. She is a vet. She's a surgeon. She is simply amazing. I want to thank all of you for tuning into one more time, Halloween version of the Good News Ladies Show. I'm Daryn Kagan. I really believe it's important to be informed. It's just also important to be inspired. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and our main home for the Good News Lady Show is Loco Plus. Thank you, and share me, but also send me your good news, and we will be sharing that soon. Thanks for being with us today.